Welcome to Schweitzer Drive, a podcast where we explore what goes on between the generation of electricity and the light switch. Join Dave Whitehead as he interviews the entrepreneurs, innovators, and experts who are inventing the future of electric power.
Hi, I'm Dave Whitehead, CEO at Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories, and today we're going to be talking about service. My guest is Todd Bridges, Vice President of Sales and Customer Service at SEL. Todd joined SEL in 2000 as a field customer service representative, and he has been providing outstanding service to our customers and teaching us all about the value of putting others first ever since. Hi, Todd. Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for inviting me. Looking forward to our discussion.
So let me give you the audience a little bit of background on why we're talking about service. And it really is stemmed from when I was in college, I wanted to be an engineer, and that's probably the most antisocial major you could go in. Now, I'm not trying to disparage the engineers, right? What do they call it? An extrovert engineer? It's the engineer that's staring at your shoes instead of his own. But
That's right.
What really got me interested in this is over the past, I've been at SEL now for 26 years, and I've really learned the value of service. In fact, our sales and customer service organization at one of our sales meetings brought in Horst Schulze, who was really ran Ritz-Carlton and started the Capella hotel chain, and that's considered, I think, by everybody as really a high level of service it gives to its customers. And hearing him talk about this idea of you must care about your customer, right? It's all about the customer really got me thinking about this idea of service. So an engineer, getting back to that theme a little bit, is we can come up with the best product, but if you can't explain the value to the customer and provide that service about how to apply it or how to use it, it's all for naught, right? You can have the best idea, but if nobody knows about it, nobody knows how to use it, who cares? And so that's why we got Todd on here. I'm really interested in this subject. So Todd, service has been a big part of what you do every day, whether you're serving our customers or teaching employees how to provide great customer service. You have pretty much been in customer service your entire career. Can you expand on your background and how you got started at SEL and how you learned about the importance of customer service?
Sure, Dave. I guess I'll start with how I found SEL. So I happen to be really good friends with a guy named Jeff Gregory, who was then the regional sales and service manager for the Southeast region. And we were together one weekend. I think we were playing softball or something like that. But he started talking about SEL, as I'd heard him talk about it many times in the past. But he talked about an opportunity that he had in service. And more importantly, he went into how unique SEL was. So I was very intrigued and, as you know, interviewed and ended up accepting a position with SEL. But I guess I've always been involved in service, Dave. I guess if I think back to even in high school, I had a couple of part-time jobs in high school. One was working at a hardware appliance type store called Otasco. I don't know if you remember those stores, and then also at a clothing store. And I guess I had to learn even at an early age that, every customer was different and you had to find that common ground, that would allow you to connect, I guess. And even though I had to learn that, sometimes customers will get upset, it's important that we take the time to peel back the layers and listen with empathy and find out how we can make their experience better by walking them to a quick resolution. And, on the flip side, I also gained a lot of great experience in how you can establish a good relationship and rapport, with a customer such that they trust you and want to come back to you for future sales, not just to help with issues. So I learned that you have to do what you say you're going to do and just be accountable to your customer before, during, and after the sale.
Yeah, you think of the sales process, or maybe I do naively, that it's a transactional process. There's a supplier and a buyer, and I have something a buyer wants, so they'll give me money for it. And maybe in its most base form, that's what occurs. But customer service model, or a customer service model, can really be a differentiator between company A and company B. Do you think you could describe, well, how you see this focus on customer service really can be a differentiator, or provides perhaps some success that you may not have if you were to avoid the focus on customer service.
Sure. I mean, I love talking about our service model here at SEL, Dave. If you think back to since we were formed in the early 80s, the one common theme that has always seemed to separate us from our competition is our unique approach to customer service, right? It's that approach you mentioned earlier as we were starting to show that it puts the needs of our customers first. And we've always trusted this to grow our company. And I think we can say it's worked. What's unique is that our goal at SEL, and I would say this should be a goal with any provider, but our goal is not to just meet expectations, but to exceed them. And I know our customers have grown to appreciate and see the uniqueness of our service model. A model that provides 24/7 free emergency support. We have our disaster discount, that not only do we reduce the pricing in their time of need, but we also expedite the build and ship the product in an expedited manner free of charge. And then, more importantly, we've also committed to providing real people to answer the phones. You get a live voice anytime you call us for support. I mean, think about it, Dave. Who still does that these days? But thankfully we do. And I think we continue to provide the industry's best warranty, so that makes that total cost of ownership low for our customers. And we hire professionals, to serve as customer service reps, account reps. They're not there just to take orders, they're skillfully trained professionals that can help us manage our accounts and solve problems and provide that great service. And let's not forget our application engineers, they're hands down some of the brightest minds in our industry. Yet they serve, on phone duty each and every day to be there to support our customers and make their overall experience something that they can't find anywhere else. So I guess I would sum it up that I like that we don't look at customer service and try to measure it by the return of investment for our personnel, for the staff that does our service. I think we see it as something that we owe our customers when they place their trust in us and buying our products. And so I believe our customers truly appreciate our commitment to serve them, long after we take that purchase order.
My wife and I were driving up to Spokane, which is about an hour north of where we're here in Pullman, and listening to the radio. And on the advertisement, one of the advertisements on the radio, there was this company selling this brand new idea that if you had a small company, they would provide somebody that was a live voice to answer your incoming call. And they were talking about it like this new revolutionary idea to have actually a real person answer the phone versus going to, push 7 if you'd like customer support or something like that, which just kind of cracked me up because we just take it for granted, I think, the importance of having a real person answer your phone. You don't have to go through any phone tree or anything. Right away, you'll have somebody pick up the phone, and how important that is. I was, calling, I forgot what it was, probably a cable company or something like that to fix a problem. And I probably went through like pressing 5 or 6 or 7 different numbers to finally get to a real person to help me with my problem. And it's just frustrating. Going back to that warranty you talked about, I remember this is 26 years ago. I'd been at the company probably for 2 or 3 months, and a relay showed up on my desk. It had been sent back to us because it had got a bunch of water damage associated with it when a hurricane blew in through the south. And I opened up the relay, and I was looking at all the corroded parts on it, and Ed walked by, Ed Schweitzer. And he's looking at it, and he goes, "Yep, looks like it's been through a hurricane." And I said, "Well, what should I do? Should I try to troubleshoot it or figure out what the problem?" He goes, No. Just send the customer a brand new relay." And I had never heard of that before. He didn't ask any questions. Certainly, a hurricane is not a problem we induced on the product. But Ed has always taught us, let's do right by the customer first, and then we'll worry about how that pencils out. And you kind of mentioned it a a little bit ago about, what's the ROI on this, or how does this really work out? And can you expand on that a little bit more? This has always been the interesting part. There is certainly a cost associated with customer service, right? But and maybe you tried to bucket it into a little tiny part of our business, it would have you concerned. But what are your thoughts then on what's the true cost of customer service? Is it a net benefit or a net detraction or something?
Oh, definitely a benefit. And I think as you talk about different service providers we use in our everyday life, I think too many times these companies or providers are too focused on the bottom line. We all have to pay attention to our financials. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, and we need to be wise about how we run our business, because obviously we want to be able to sustain storms that may come our way, such as a pandemic, such as what we're in. But you can't compromise when it comes to customer service. It's just definitely one of those areas you just can't do it. And it just seems that more and more companies are what I call automating that warm personal service right out of their business model as they look to reduce operating expenses. And as a customer, when you call into those type customer service setups, you just don't feel appreciated when it takes you 15 minutes, to, like you said, press 9 or whatever. It takes you 15 minutes just to speak with a live voice, and that's if you're lucky. And I think another mistake by many businesses is that they really don't have any type of formal training for customer service, Dave. They just make the assumption that their employees will be able to successfully handle their customers. And I think it's very important that we should train and our employees should know what that exceptional service looks like, and then just stay the course with training to that model. But I think it's a major mistake if you compromise in the area of customer service, kind of like you just referenced.
Yeah. So obviously the level of service that someone provides directly correlates to retaining, your customer. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that too.
Well, yeah, that's a really good point for sure, because retaining our customers is the name of the game, right? It's a must if you're going to grow your company. And like we've just talked about earlier, you start with a quality product, that has, all the cool features, all the innovation built in. You want a fair price. You want lead times that quickly can get the product to the customer. And then you want service that makes the customer feel important. But if you start by not seeing the customer as a transaction, I like to think of it more like a relationship forming that's happening and that you're striving to develop. If you look to build productive relationships with your customers, you're then on the right track from my perspective. So I guess when we say relationship, we should remind ourselves, what makes for a healthy relationship. And I would say things like effective communication, spending quality time. And the way I see that in a relationship such as we have with our customers is not seeing how fast we can get them off the phone so we can move on with our day and move on to the next customer, right? And then I think it's important to ask for feedback, that then you exceed their expectations and that we show appreciation. We could add on to the list, but all of these areas, in my mind, will help the customer to trust you. And then I think we've all learned that trust equals loyalty. And that's where we get this retention of our customers. The best model of service and one that we're committed to is building relationships. And doing this produces loyal customers. And I often, when I'm training, especially some of my newer employees to our customer service model, I remind them that satisfied customers are in the moment only. They're there and it could change the next day. But a loyal customer, they're what I would say become lifelong partners to us. And these type of loyal customers also will extend you some grace when it's needed and be an advocate for your brand. They become another sales channel for you. And then they also don't purchase solely on price to force you to go rock bottom on price. They see the overall value. So I think we have to avoid complacency, Dave. And as Ed Schweitzer has taught us, all of my career, and I'm sure yours as well, we have to earn our customers' business each and every day.
Yeah, there's a customer is under no obligation to ever buy anything from us ever again, right? And I think we all need to keep that in mind, right? Every day, as you pointed out, you have to go about earning your customers' business over and over and over again. As companies grow, does it get harder or more complicated to provide great service to customers? And if so, what's your advice for maintaining high standards of service without cutting corners or even getting rid of some of the service that customers may come to expect?
You know, as any company grows, Dave, I guess I would say it does get a little more difficult and complicated to provide great service because it's especially if you're growing at rapid rates. But I think it's as simple as staying intentional about teaching your model. So, it's good that we're growing. Growth in headcount obviously means we're financially strong, right? But as we grow at these rates, I think we have to be very intentional about teaching your culture and your model. I guess I would say we can't just have customer service be a department. It must be our culture. And so to maintain a high level of service, I think you must continue hiring the quality of individuals that model your values. I think we do a good job, David, at 50% of our questions are around culture and trying to as best we can qualify that this employee is going to fit our model. It's not just to a skill set; it's about who they are as people, right? So, and then you have to make teaching your service model a top priority, and I like that, we start this on day one at SEL. David Costello, our Chief Sales and Service Officer, he's really worked with us a lot the past few years to really shore that up some. We've always taught service, but lately we've stepped up our game in such that we're much quicker at how soon we teach our employees and then do refreshers for the longer tenure ones. So now, our goal now is that if you were to walk up to a new employee, that started, say, a week ago, and you were to ask them, what did you learn on your first day at SEL? We're expecting and hoping their answer would be, well, one thing I've learned is superior customer service is obviously a top priority, as we started off my training by discussing the service model. And it's also important, Dave, I think, that we pay close attention to customer surveys, not just offer surveys so you can check a box, but really see what common themes you're seeing that might help you to bring on some improvement opportunities.
Hey, let's follow up on that. So you guys do send surveys out, with the objective to figure out how you're serving your customers. What are some of the things you've learned through these surveys?
Well, they teach us in many areas. We'll start with product. We get feedbacks on our product that would help with ease of use for our customers. Maybe it's features they're requesting. Maybe it's something to do with the software. Sometimes we learn about maybe some of the frustrations from when we may have a service bulletin or something of that nature. And many times it's just a matter of us needing to better explain more of the processes, such as service bulletins. But I would say we learn more about product needs. We also learn if by some chance something fell through the cracks on our service model, so that we can quickly correct it. And I'm happy to say those are less and less that we see those type of situations. But that's just a couple, Dave, that we often see, and it allows us to improve once we get that feedback. And it really means a lot when you'd be surprised, Dave, how many times we actually call the customers, and it's so many times they're just like, I can't believe you're actually calling me. I figured I'd never hear anything out of this. And we're like, no, we appreciate your feedback and we want to learn from you. And that goes a long way with our customers.
If you were to try and narrow down what you believe are the core principles or objectives that a company should strive to achieve to provide extraordinary service, how might you describe a playbook of sorts to folks that are listening to this podcast?
Well, I was hoping you'd ask that, because I'm really passionate about our service model and I guess what I would call our service principles, and I really think they apply anywhere. So if I were to boil down into core principles or a playbook, a service model that helps you build that loyal customer base, I would say your base and where you have to start is the employee serving has to be passionate about the company that you represent. Customers can tell if it's just a job or a paycheck, or if you're truly sold out to your company's mission when they talk to you. They can tell. And this passion, I believe, and is that it's going to impact how well you serve your customers. And next, I would say we need to be close to our customers. We say a lot here at SEL, see your customers. You should see them as that human-to-human interface, not business-to-business. We want to become their trusted advisor, and we do this by continually nurturing the relationship, by being responsive, by providing timely support. I think next, another area is recognize that when you take the time to teach your customer and not just answer their questions so you can move on, but take the time to teach them, that you're empowering them to be successful in their role, but in turn they become pretty comfortable with your product. So the teaching is selling. I think that's another principle. Next, I think we need to provide that expert support. I talked a lot about our support staff. They're professionals, and I'm proud of that. But we have to provide expert support with warmth and humility. Yeah, you mentioned earlier, Dave, that we all read the book from Horst Schulze, and we had him come into a sales meeting and learned a lot from him. But one statement he made that sticks with me, and I think about it on a regular basis, is he said, expertise without warmth is arrogance. And I thought about that. It's not about just showing the customer how much we know, but it's about us staying humble and not making our customers feel inferior in any way, and then educating them. And then we want to insert warmth into our communication, which also means that written communication, such as email. We need to take the time to avoid that terse communication and insert that warm, friendly service. Next, we can't leave ownership out as a core service principle in our playbook. If you see a problem, own the problem. Do what you can to make the customer's problem your problem, and then, as I like to say, walk alongside them to that solution. And one thing I teach early, and when we're talking about ownership at SEL, is avoid ever saying to a customer, well, that's not my department, or you'll have to call Dave to get that handled. That's his department. Taking ownership is committing and delivering. And then I guess, finally, the last I would say is remember to be empathetic when dealing with your customers. Understand that they have challenges and pressures not visible to you, and be grateful for the customer feedback, and practice patience with it. Sometimes, I tell our employees, you may feel that the customer's being abrasive or unfair, but you still have to show them empathy. Depersonalize and help them solve their problems. But, it's really fun when you can take that customer who may be difficult at the time, they're visibly upset, and then you work with them, showing that empathy, and then it's fun when you see them turn into one of your most loyal customers. So I think when you truly invest in these core principles, and one thing I should add, Dave, is this applies to your internal customers as well as external. So many times we focus on customer service and we only think external, but those internal customers also are very important, because a lot of times they're what's helping us with the total package and total level of service we're providing to our end user customers. So, I just think we have to teach that every day, and it's a huge benefit. And, kind of like our Chief Financial Officer, Joey Nestegard, said, I'm thankful that, what we consider normal, our customers consider extraordinary, and our competitors consider impossible. And I think that's something unique with our service model, and a model that will never jeopardize by cutting corners when it comes to customer service. But I think this would help any business if you were to apply these type of core principles, Dave.
Yeah, I really like those. Out of the 8 or 10 you said, it got me thinking while you were talking. I bet if you were to try to force me to boil it down to just one phrase or one takeaway, it's you have to care, right? And if you could,
Absolutely.
if you care, I think that comes across to your customers, whether they're internal or external, and that really, is that bond you establish with your customer, right? That sense that you really care. You're not a transaction. You're not a number. You're not a, what have you. Rather, it's this personal, this emotional, this caring that happens. And I think, Todd, you're probably one of the best examples at SEL of somebody that generally cares about their customer, whether they're internal or external. So, Todd, with that, thank you very much for this talk. I'm sure we're going to have you back on because this is a fascinating topic, especially from an engineer's perspective, learning about really the caring of customers. So thanks, Todd, for joining me today, and looking forward to have you back on at some other future time.
Thank you, Dave. I've really enjoyed it. I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you for stopping by Schweitzer Drive. Join us again as we learn about, explore, and celebrate electric power. For more information about the show, please visit selinc.com/Schweitzer Drive.